Cooper is a team that can play with Dixie, I think. I think Cooper can play with anyone in this field because of their defense, but I agree. If you look at who got – Cooper did everything you ask of them. They win their district tournament, and then they face off probably the best team in the tournament in the first round. That seems like a tough deal for them. I think they'd, rather play Lloyd or Highlands or someone like that for winning their district like they should have instead of Dixie. But such is life, and you're going to have to win the games anyways. And we know how Coach Tim Sullivan is. He's not going to care. He's going to tell his guys it doesn't matter. And they would have had to win the game eventually anyway. So I think that's going to be a fun first-round matchup, too.
I think Coach Sullivan definitely relishes the opportunity to play Dixie. If they were to beat that team in the first round, they have all the momentum for the rest of the tournament, as far as I'm concerned. And they're a team that's going to defend very well against Dixie. I think they're kind of on a really strong roll. Their momentum is where they want it to be anyway. So maybe that carries them into Dixie. Of course, Dixie's going to be looking for blood after losing to Lloyd. They're not real happy with the way that game turned out. So it's going to be very interesting. I still think Dixie's the favorite there, but definitely don't count Cooper out at this point.
Yeah, well, we're going to break down these games. We're already sort of into Cooper Dixie, and that's the top of the bracket. So we'll continue talking about that. When you look at this matchup again, 59-48, the first time these two teams played. I think the biggest thing when you look at these two teams is how many points can Cooper score in this matchup, basically, is what it comes down to. Because we know Cooper's the best defensive team possibly in the region, but you can only hold Dixie to so many. I mean, you're not going to play Dixie in the low 50s. Best case scenario, you're looking at 59. I thought they defended Dixie really well. They held them to 59. I don't know if you can do much better than that. So can Cooper score 60 points against Dixie is the question. I'm glad we sort of switched it up. You got a chance to watch Cooper Thursday night. Saturday night, or Friday night rather, in the finals of 33rd. You got a chance to see what they can do. You got a chance to see them play well against a good Boone team. What's the potential for this Cooper offense? Can they score 60 points against a team like Dixie?
Well, Alex Webster, big game in the district finals. Named the MVP. He was what got that team going. He's kind of set the tone for them from the outset. He scored their first 6 points, and from that point on, the whole team just kind of jumped on his back, and he was huge. But for them to be able to play with Dixie, he's got to play a complete offensive game. He can't just kind of sit back and let the game come to him. I think he needs to force the issue a little bit more. And that was the most impressive thing about him in that game in the first quarter. He was just attacking the basket at will. Now, I think Dixie's a little bit better defensively than Boone is, and they'll send some better defenders at him, but he's got to be aggressive, and he's more than capable of it. He's good inside and out, and he's going to be a big key for them. They got to hit some outside shots as well. And they need some big play out of Aaron Morgan, their point guard. Him and AJ Collins, they got to be great. And they were against Boone County. They're very good at getting in the paint, kicking out, finding the open man, and they just need to finish those opportunities.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with the 3-point field goals. I think that's sort of the equalizer in basketball at any level. You're talking about this game. Cooper kind of needs something to equal the talent level between these two teams because Dixie across the board just has more talent, more offensive firepower. I think Cooper does a very good job of staying together, sticking to a game plan, all the things that are going to go into winning that game. I think they'll be there in the end. They'll give themselves a chance to win it, but you've got to make the plays down the stretch to ultimately win the game, and that's going to come down to making those 3-point opportunities like you talked about. Guys like Aaron Morgan, Cody Cook, some of these other guys who are considered the role players to have enough confidence to say, hey, I'm going to drive to the basket, kick out, and make a play. If Cody Cook's in the corner, he's going to spot up and hit those 3 threes like he did in the first quarter against Connor in the 33rd District Tournament. Things of that nature is what got them here. It's what got them a 33rd District Championship, and it's what they're going to need if they're going to be able to make a run in the 9th Region Tournament. When you flip the page and you look at Dixie, I think the thing about this Dixie team is the fact that here's what happened to them. They're very calm, they're very cool, they're very casual. They don't get rattled. For a young team, it's sort of exceptional that they're just always very even keel. They don't get too high, too low. I think it's also what catches them sometimes. They get a little, not necessarily careless, but just a little too loose. They're a little too comfortable. They don't have that sense of urgency at all times. You saw it. District tournament game, it's not like they didn't come to play. They played fairly well, but they weren't able to sort of turn it up and take it to that next notch that they needed to beat a very good Lloyd team. And I think it's sort of that just confidence that they have and that general calmness that they have about them, which is a result of their confidence that, hey, we kind of know we're the best team around Northern Kentucky. That's sort of the vibe I get from them. And it's not an overconfidence. It's just that they're a confident group that doesn't always seem to turn it up when they need to or when they don't have to. I think, though, in the 9th region tournament, we're going to see a little bit different of a Dixie team. And I think when Dixie's been at its best this year, they've been really good defensively. And I think that's the thing that's going to throw some people off is when they see how well Dixie can actually defend.
Well, to your point about Dixie's kind of MO, their attitude, in the 9th region tournament, we saw them win it last year. And that was not a surprise to us completely. And then this year, coming off that experience, we kind of deemed them the favorite, and deservedly so. And there's times where they play like they feel like they are the favorite. And it's, do they use that experience to know that they're capable of making another run, or is it a kind of an arrogance and swagger that could get them into trouble without that urgency? Knowing that they're going to have to fight, they're going to have to play hard in order to get back there. Because those other teams, they want to get there. There's a lot of teams that haven't been there. Dixie's been there. They know what it's like. So if they want to taste it again, they can't stay at the same level. They got to pick it up a notch, because just playing at the same level isn't going to get them to where they want to be and make a run in the state tournament.
That's exactly right. You look at these matchups as far as personnel-wise goes, it's going to be interesting, and I think it played out this way the first time, is you just, the backcourt of Dixie is very difficult to match up with. Aaron Morgan does a good job defensively, but, he's got a difficult matchup in Jordan Fox that he's going to have. He does a good job guarding him, but he's going to have a tough time scoring on Fox. Fox is a pretty good defender with good athleticism. You've got Hatton, who's obviously the best player in the region in most people's opinion. He's going to be a really difficult matchup for Boone County. A.J. Collins will fight against him. They'll put a couple other guys on him to try to slow him down, but it's a tough matchup. The rest of the way, I think Cooper is okay. I think Louis Maniaci and Parker Stansbury was a pretty good matchup the first time, but it's worth noting Louis Maniaci was in foul trouble that first game for most of the game and kind of became a non-factor there for the final 3 quarters after getting off to kind of a slow start. So if he gives them a lift this time, it maybe helps them get over the hump offensively, but I think personnel-wise, these two teams are close enough matched that if Cooper brings their A game, they're going to be in this game at the end. I don't think I see this game as being blowout. You have any final thoughts before we move on?
I just think Maniaci is the key, honestly, to that game. If he can stay in the game, if he stays aggressive, if he plays smart on defense to where he's allowed to stay in the game, I think he can make a world of difference. His size is so huge. Once he exits the game, they struggle. And maybe if he's not doing anything on offense, he's still a factor on defense. So he has to make sure that he stays in the game, doesn't get in foul trouble, and is there to defend Stansbury.